your touch, I forget all the endings inside my head, and I rise out of lust. Tonight we'll get there, back to heaven. Living with passion, I live with stars. I keep my head steady, but feet off the ground. I like it lush, my lips so smooth. Baby boy, join me if you want to. We got jumpsuits in glitter and red, fabric breakers and puppies in bed. We got it all. Tonight we party. We got it all. If you ask, will I trust? I said maybe it's your call. Take a chance with this romance. I don't need lenses to see we're quite a catch. See, my love's a vacation. I've been good and patient, but becoming real good letting go. I can never fake this. I'm read this in the matrix. Now it's time for you to show. Living with passion.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Taekwondo. Really appreciate you for taking your time, and welcome indeed. It has been quite some time before when I talked to you last. Extra matter of fact, last week I didn't have any show, and the week before I actually had a very quick hello just to say that I could not make it, even though that was the intent. Though I did know that, of course, this last Saturday was not of a possibility, unfortunately. But welcome, nevertheless. Really appreciate you for taking the time and effort to be here live and direct. Let me check who is live, and I seem to have forgotten something, but that is okay. I can do that quite quickly. Oh no, I cannot do that quite quickly. So let's talk a little bit about how it happened. Is that these days I actually have a new, how to say that? A new internet provider, which means that all my email address or all my IP addresses are different. So it's not working at the moment. Let me check this very quickly. It is live here. So guys, let me go quickly here. Let me fix that very quickly. I thought that I did it already, but unfortunately I simply forgot. So what I'm doing now is that I'm trying to get the how to say that, the chat. So go ahead and chat. It's 1.5, and that seems to be it. There you go. Boom. Finally, I'm back. All right. Yes. So let's see who is live and direct today. To start with MT, who was in the house the earliest. Hello, gigs. Gig reports are great. So yes, we are going to talk about gig reports today. And Veal says we can always take a hint. I learned new tricks. I tried to simplify my gear. That didn't work out this time around for me, though not 100% sure. Not 100% the same across the boards. I see that Gerrit is in the house. Welcome from Stuttgart. And of course, Veal is from Finland. What is awesome. All the way from Rochester, New York. Eric, welcome. Appreciate you for taking the time and effort to be here. We need to talk about one day when I'm back there. And let's see, we see a lot of people saying hi to each other, which is great. Veal says, they just purchased an Atomos Zeto Correct for streaming, but from guest field, Zeto and computers with OBS for replay. Nice. Well done, well done, well done. Nils was also in the house. I was listening to that. To that, I do not know what that is. Hey, Paul, what's going on? How are you, sir? Appreciate you for taking the time and effort to be here. And let's go ahead and talk about those gigs. Okay. So last week and the week before, I had a big, huge event. I actually did that last year as well. And it was a shooting contest. And that shooting contest is something that is huge over here in the south of the Netherlands, in the province that I live. It is huge. Also a little bit in Belgium, also a little bit in Brabant, which is a different province over here in the Netherlands as well. However, here in where I live, it is quite huge, which meant that being part of a local TV station, you want to show it to you. However, it's so big that you cannot really show it to just one city, so to speak. It's way too much work. So typically what you try to do is that you want to combine forces. And that's exactly what we did this time around. We combined forces with 3 different local TV stations. So there are 3 that are combined, and that turned into one huge broadcast, which was on the Sunday for the first round, so to speak, where we went from, on top of my head, 50 plus all the way to 20 or something, or no, 30. It was 30, I'm sure of that. So we went from 50, 60 to 30, and then the second day, that was last Saturday, we went to from 30 down to, well, of course, the winner just won. And what the idea was with the shooting contest is that you have these really huge poles. I mean, really, really, really high, and there are these small wooden shelves that you need to shoot. They're like this size, really this size. That's all. And you really need to pay attention. You really need to take into account, of course, the wind, the sun, etc., etc. And yeah, I'm very impressed that they can actually fire it and shoot something. But it's literally, you have to get all of them, because otherwise you will lose, right? The first one you lose, I think you're out. So that being said, that is a huge deal. And of course, it's so huge that it's also something that the local governments, the local city councils are very interested in. So we wanted to make it right. So what we did was that we went all the way down to the south of the province that I live in, and that's where we actually made a makeshift studio. I actually already showed it to you last week, but this is the studio that we had right there. I will tell you a little bit more about what you can see here, but this was the studio. It is actually a green screen, as you can see, but we do not really love green screens, even though I actually today also used the green screen, come to think of it, but I tend to think it's a little bit more, either you do it really good or you don't do it. And typically what you see is that typical people do not do it right. So that's the reason why I typically say, hold it. Don't use green screens. Not a good idea. But anyway, come to think of it, it was a huge setup. How huge? Well, I actually had to bring in the big guns, the big stuff. And honestly, it was not only my gear. I think that if it's roughly a percentage, maybe, I think 30% was from me. 20% of another guy who's really good at technical stuff, and then the other stuff is for other people. And but what is big? What is huge? Well, this is huge. So the classic shooting contest, I used my XL rack for it. And why did I need that? I needed 3 cameras in a makeshift studio. I already discussed the makeshift part. It's actually a green screen, which we made more nice, more like a studio should be. And then we had not one, not two, but 3 remote cameras. And we're talking about remote cameras totally different somewhere else, like 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers down the road. And they all were going via either live view or via a remote source, like an internet connection. And all 6 inputs came into the mix. Then we had, of course, the key and fill for playout, but we actually had a second key and fill as well. So we had in total 4 channels going from for that. So you can already see a little bit that the ATEM Extreme doesn't cut it, because we already have 8. No, did I say? No, 10 different channels that we need to take into account. So we all needed 10 channels. Next to that, I also had needed a lot of outputs this time around. Not only for recording to the hyperdeck, but also, which I forgot here, but also 2 monitors that are in the studio, which either show the picture or a remote camera output. Like for example, an overarching shot across the venue where the shooting is happening. That's what it was all about. Then we had 1 additional confidence monitor that was a separate entity. So the confidence monitor was a program out. 2 monitors was actually a different program altogether. Then we used a Behringer X32 mixer to bring in audio into the ATEM, but also to bring in audio towards the studio and also provide some indication back to the audience. Last but not least, we actually used CasperCG as a playout system. So no vMix, no Pro Presenter, just CasperCG, which is a open source project. But the guy that I just talked about actually created a own playout look and feel, which makes CasperCG really easy to understand for a person like me, because I have tried the CasperCG client and I was like, what am I doing here? But that is really, really, really simple and really easy to do. So that is the classic shooting contest, the XL rack. And I already showed you a little bit this side, right? So on this slide, you see there are 3 monitors. The monitor that is pointing with the back to us, that is the confidence monitor, and the other 2 are actually at the moment showing a picture. But we both days, I mean, we started with some pictures. But if we had something that we could show from the venue, we actually showed a live video content on that screen, and that helped us to bring that ambience of what is happening. That's actually what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to achieve some ambience to show how cool it is to be there, how important it is for the sporting environment where we live. And I think that we did a great job. I mean, the guy on the right hand side, he could talk for hours and hours and hours about all the technologies about how to shoot, who is great, who's not so great, etc., etc. And the other one is the lead presenter that helped us to, provide some value. And as you can see, we actually also changed the table a little bit by adding a skirt, just to make it more nice. You don't want to have some people looking down to your trousers or something, because like now I have short trousers on. It's not not a pleasant sight, right? So you want to help that to not have that, right? Moving on from the set, I just wanted to have some two additional pictures. Let's zoom in on the confidence monitor right now. So this is the confidence monitor. Actually, they had 2 confidence monitors. The left hand side is the program out that I was actually providing, and the right hand side was the actual signal on TV. So basically it's roughly the same, I believe. So there's almost no delay. And then below that you see a loudspeaker, and that loudspeaker provided audio. What if we were like here playing out a video or going live to the location, because we also had live interviews on location to say, hey, what are you doing here? What do you think about that? Blah, 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 blah. So that is everything that is behind it. So to give you a bit of a feeling on what it looks like. It might be interesting to see how we did it, and I will come to check your questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put it into the comments. Make sure to add a queue if you want to, if it's really a question. I will try to combine it, but I want to deliver this content first, and then let's talk about it. Okay. So what did I see? Well, this is let me make sure that I don't have audio, because there might be some audio here. 34. Let's remove this one. There you go. All right. So what do I have here? So this is my you see that somebody is explaining something on live via a live view solo. Actually, it's my live view solo. This is the deck that I have right here. On the left hand side, I actually can see if the hyper deck is still recording. So that's the small monitor on the left hand side, just providing me indication on the hyper deck is recording. I have so much minutes left. And then you see the 3 cameras. 1, 2, 3 are from the studio. 1 from the presenter. The other one is from the main scientific guy, so to speak. And then an overarching shot. And then we've got 3 locations that you can see. The first one is the overarching shot, and then we have 2 run and gun people that actually are presenting or providing really nice video content to actually show occasionally. Then we've got the player F and a ticker F, and F stands for fill. And the playout system is on the left hand side, which is currently black, and on the right hand side you see the ticker, and that's actually what you also see on the top hand right side. What you cannot really see on this picture or on this video is that on top of that you see a different monitor behind this unit. Unfortunately, I could not have them side by side. That would be even better. But the one that's a little bit far away is actually providing me the TOME switcher, because that is the one that I actually used to switch the monitors in the studio, and that really is a game changer. It's really makes it very handy to do, and I really did a lot of macros to make it happen. I actually recorded quite some macros. Actually, also I don't have it on this video, but I also created this super source, and I could actually just change the content of the super source just by hitting a macro, which was extremely interesting. Before I go into it, let me see if there are some questions or remarks, and then let's go ahead and show you how we did it behind the scenes, because even though that is behind the scenes, actually there's more to it. Okay, we're talking about the song. Yeah, this is a new song. Glad you didn't have to hang out in the burning heat under a tent or a small trailer. Yes, Niels, I have to admit that would not be great. 10 kilometers is definitely remote indeed. Do you like CasperCG? I'm mixed about it. I'll explain it to you. Mixed. Well, let me just say that at the moment I'm mixed about it, because it is open source, which is great. The server part of things is great. There's nothing wrong with that. The client that CasperCG is bringing to the table, I think it's a little bit too much, and that's actually also what a colleague of mine thought, and so he built his own, and that one is really, really nice. It's really simple. It's extremely easy to create a run-of show, and I really like it for that. But it's for free, so it's great. And you can also connect it with a Declan card, which I actually have. So this computer here beside me also has CasperCG installed, and I'm actually testing it out as a backup plan for if we are on the road. So that's the reason why I'm doing that. What kind of viewership does the show get? Is shooting popular? Yes, absolutely popular. It's one of the most popular things that are events in the south here where I live, and of course it's quite difficult to see viewership on TV because it's always indirect. But judging by the fact that we are on 3 different local TV stations, meaning that half of the province was actually covered by us, I think that that's a good suggestion, a good start. And also looking at what I've heard from people, they really liked it. So that makes it okay for me. Eric says, skirts on the presenter table, great attention to detail. Yes. The terminal is the client. Oh, yes, correct. So we saw what it looked like from my end. So you saw my desk. So this again, I'll show it one more time. This is where I was located during the show. This is what I looked at the whole show. 2 screens, actually 3, and this one right here. And this was my thing, my hobby, my work. Now, beside me was this, and this is not a video, but this is what was happening beside me. So here you see the X32 Touch, which was connecting to the X32 rack, and you see also the CasperCG. And this is what I was talking about. This is the look and feel that we have created from, or that the guy created, and it's really easy to understand. It's really handy. You can also on the fly create text objects. Tickers can be changed via this piece of software as well, and of course also playout, and you see a few playouts right there. On the left hand side on the laptop you see the LiveView Solo laptop. I had the same look and feel because we had 2 solos, and we both were also monitoring, making sure that those solos were still powered on, had a good quality video. I have to admit, we did change something which was really important to us, is that we actually went from HD to 720 and to a lower bitrate just to save on data plan, because it's more about the being there. It's more about making sure that we have a good quality of service than pushing it to the limit and occasionally have a dropout. So that was the reason why we actually limited that quality, but we didn't. Well, we had a few hiccups, but barely noticeable and very, very handy. One thing that I did mention, did say, is that if I will purchase the LiveView Solo Pro one day, I will not buy the HDMI version anymore. I currently have the Solo HDMI, and yeah, it works, but the port of the HDMI port is so iffy. I don't want to get that issue anymore. So that's the reason why I'm deciding not to go with the HDMI version moving forward. And then you also see, of course, vMix at the back. And at the moment of this picture, we're actually testing out the setup and making sure that all of the connections are established. And what are those connections, you might ask? Well, do you have a moment? Here we go. So this is the setup that we had. From left to, well, let's start with the reddish box in the center, reddish pink. Here you see the ATEM 2ME switcher. That is my switcher. That is where everything came into the production. On the left hand side, we see vMix, which will be providing camera 1. We had a manual decoder, which will provide camera 2, and we had a KiloView decoder, which would provide connection with camera 3. And that to start with the KiloView decoder with camera 3, that was on the roof of a unit, and on the venue, the green part. We also had the KiloView encoder, and I remember, maybe you might remember that KiloView recorded, because I actually purchased that for my church. So exactly the same setup that I actually have a video on YouTube about that particular unit was right there. I only do not use a decoder from KiloView. I'm using vMix. But here you see a KiloView encoder and a decoder with the SRT Direct. So we're actually using an SRT connection on the bottom left of your screen. Above that, you see the two live view cameras, and of course, being live view, you need to have a live view bonding service, which is a separate cost. It's about $45 per month, but it is you can cancel it at any time, to be honest. So I will cancel it after this week or so. But that will allow you to have a connection with a service. And in this particular instance, we're actually hosting our own service on AWS. Yes, on Amazon, and we actually have there an Nginx running on an Ubuntu virtual machine, and that is running the RTMP module, which means that we can actually receive RTMP, but we can also push out RTMP both to the orange, the pink red box below, which is in the south of the Netherlands, but also in our own studio, which was on the right hand side, where we also have a KiloView decoder, which goes in an old ATEM TV studio. Yes, they're still using it there. And then it's going to what we call media choice, which is a provider that actually pushes out the content towards multiple sources, which means the website, the TV, but also the other local TV station that is also pushing it out. So we actually had 3 local stations going via this route. You can imagine that there's a lot of input and outputs, right? And this is what it looks like. No, it's crap. So here you go. This is literally how my rack looked like. So on the left hand side with the purple stickers, that's fully my rack. And I will show it to you in bigger pictures. And it was a lot of additional cables that actually had to go inside of the unit, and we really got into quite some issues because of that. And that's the reason why this week I actually decided to remove all of the video components from the 4U, which I already showed it to you a couple of months ago. I pushed it out and put it back into a 6U rack. And now I have more space to also incorporate more of those connections. So where at the moment in the 4U, and actually at the moment still, I only had 6 inputs and 3 outputs. That was what I had in designed at the moment. I actually am increasing the inputs from 6 to 10. And the outputs from 3 to 6. That by itself, together with all internal connections for the Ultra Studio, for the HyperDeck Plus and HyperDeck Mini, that together makes it so that the 2ME switcher is almost fully full. I didn't believe that when I saw it. I only have 4 inputs left and only have 3 outputs left. Quite a challenge, but this is what it looked like. Well, at least we labeled the stuff, but it's quite a piece of junk. So I'll show you just a bit about what I've done this week. Let me see if there are some comments in the meantime. I think they were talking about CasperCG here. Yes, Niels, but like Peter says, it's a bit tricky to use, but when it runs well, it runs well. Yes, absolutely, MT. When it runs well, it definitely runs first class, but it is not easy to set up, unfortunately. It does take some time. Niels says, but in all earnestness, that's a nice word. There are interesting clients for CasperCG, Superconductor, Sophia, among others. I don't know. I really don't know. I do know that the one that I showed you a picture of actually works quite well. And if you like to see it, I cannot show it when it's pushing out content, but I can show you how easy it is to start and stop stuff already. Eric says diagrams, yes. Sweet. And Eric says also nice AWS hosting for a head end, so to speak. Yeah, but also to make sure that it's all centrally managed so that you know where to find everything, which is also very, very handy. And you don't want to get spaghetti. Well, maybe scalable spaghetti, but you don't want to do that. TVJ says, is delay not a concern with the show? There's a lot of RTMP which has a lot of latency. Yes, there is latency, absolutely. And that was also a bit of a challenge during the show, because what we actually did from our control booth was that, of course, we had contact with the people that were there. Actually, we actually also used the Holland T1000 for intercoms right there, which actually worked quite well. Not perfect, but quite well. And the funny thing was that it took indeed about 3 seconds for things to, like commands, to go to the cameraman, and from the cameraman to the presenter. So actually what we did was that we timed a little bit when somebody was talking about somebody who was standing there. I actually purposely, well, let me rephrase that because it's not clear. So in order to handle the delay, what we did was a few things. The first thing what we did was that I actually created a picture-in-picture with Supersource. One with the studio, so that you can see the main presenter, and the main presenter could then already see on location where that person was that was going to provide an interview. So I did that on purpose. The reason why we did that on purpose was because we wanted to give a visual clue to the person that's watching the TV or the website that, hey, we're switching over to a remote source. People do understand that takes a delay for some reason. So that was the first thing. The second thing that we did was that we actually, we know the presenter quite well. So we know how he talks, and we know a little bit about when he's ready to hand over. So what we actually did is that about 4 seconds before he was ready, we actually already said, go for it, go, right? And it was like a few times perfectly right on the money that they started. And otherwise there was like maybe 1.5 second delay. But for the outside world, it was perfectly perfect. So yes, you do need to take into account that it takes some time. I got a flight back and I'm currently putting it into a new case because the old case is too small. Yep. Same for me. And Eric says, at least you didn't run out of IO. Having any ports open is a great success. Yes, and I'm hoping that those will remain open for a long period of time, because I'm not willing to go to the 4ME. It's way too big for me. So I hope not. Clever trick with a homemade delay. Yep, that's the way it goes. You have to be smart sometimes. Okay, so I promised you a little bit. So I promised you a little bit about my rack. I changed it, right? So this is my rack at the moment. This is at my kitchen, and I actually added the green screen just to remove everything from clutter. This is my Excel bag. It's quite huge, but I want to be very clear to you. This is not for registering what is happening. This is a production kit. So I'm really pushing out. I remember that about a year ago I was talking about large, medium, and that kind of stuff. I'm dividing it into two now. There's one that is really towards production, which means that I'm responsible for streaming. I'm responsible for switching. I'm responsible for all I/O. I'm also responsible for audio. I'm also responsible for microphones in case that is needed, network, so the whole shebang. So that is where this comes into play. And if you want to see it, this is what it looks like if it's open. From top to bottom, you see the video rack, the audio rack, the network rack, and some accessories, which is fantastic. So again, boom, boom, really, really cool. Let's zoom into the top position, which is this one right here. This is my video rack. Now it's not ready yet, so I cannot show you the back yet because I'm not happy with it yet. It's still having only those 6 inputs and 3 outputs. I will next month or the month after add those 4 additional inputs and 3 additional outputs. I will also add additional I/O from network, etc., just to make sure that the amount of cables that goes out of this unit is as less as possible. I already removed clutter already, and I'm not even having additional stuff. You see between the power supply and the first row of Theranex Minis, there's an open situation there. That will remain open, though of course I will add a plate with some holes in it so that it can have some airflow, but for now I have to do with that. You see the HyperDeck Plus. I actually want to purchase a second one on the left hand side, not this year, that will be next year, because the HyperDeck that is below is really showing its age already, and I'm still okay with it for now, but I think that occasionally it will have a problem. So I want to go to 2 HyperDeck Pluses. I will remove the HyperDeck in the center of the lowest unit. Then on the left hand side you see a Ultra Studio, which is fantastic. I love that thing. Hopefully to purchase one additional one day. Can tell you just a bit why, but for now this is really where it shines. The HyperDeck, the Ultra Studio on the left hand side, and on the right hand side you see the Web Presenter HD. I also said that we had the X32, so so for the sake of it, let's show that one as well. This is the audio rack. In the center you see the 4 units by Sennheiser, really good microphone sets. Actually purchased the combo versions of all 4 of them, which means that I have a handheld mic but also a lavalier, so I'm 100% flexible on this one. I've got the X32 rack down below, perfect for video productions. Absolutely a fantastic mixer, and on top of that you see an SDI to audio converter, but also a audio to SDI converter on the top right position, which means that I can push out audio towards, for example, some loudspeakers in studio, or I can retrieve audio from a very different source if I would like to. So that was that. And then network is by Netgear, 2 units, one big huge boy for my Bird cameras, and the other one is very straightforward, nothing to worry about, but still something that will help me to have enough ports rule the world, so to speak. And then below, new to the game, just installed it yesterday. These are units that are just saw something wrong with my unit, so I'll fix that. But that's so these are two drawers. One drawer is for the decimators that I have, and so the Swiss Army knife. I have a few of them, and then on top of that we have some audio accessories that I need. So that is the XL rack. There you go. I'm impressed. That was really great, and we actually used it twice. Huh? So we used it for the Sunday, and then a week later on the Saturday. But that was not all. We actually had a second gig, which was way different. But before I go into it, let's check if there are some questions, comments, or whatever. And let me increase the font size a little bit because there you go. Eric says the big tech on the stack. Yes. Computer unit says I have no question. Weight and height or weight. What is the two questions? Looks very cool. Yeah, but let's talk about that weight and height thing, because that is definitely a very important topic. You can imagine that if you see this and you need to, if this is one big rack, then this is something that you cannot take yourself. This is something that you need to have at least two people attending to make it work. So what did I do? So I made it modular on purpose for three reasons. The first reason is weight. I tried it with a 10U rack, a big one. I tried it, but it's way too big. It's way too cumbersome. I cannot take that myself. I'm not that strong. I cannot do it. So I needed to have something that has a better weight pattern. So I opted for a smaller box, and also I opted for a better mix of different components. So that's for the weight. So now I have to carry it a few times from here to my car and back, but at least it's something that I can carry myself. Not that I'm always by myself, but I want to have that possibility that I can be by myself. Next to that, I want to put it into my car. I do not own a big van. I actually own a very small car, a Fiat 500 electric. Beautiful car, perfect car for traveling to my day-to-day job and back. But I cannot afford an additional van. I mean, that's not possible for me. So I need to do something. Of course, I can rent a van, absolutely. And if it's a big, huge thing, I might be tempted to do it. But I will also want to be able to bring it myself. So that's where my Fiat 500 electric comes into play. I actually can bring all of those components in one go from A to B with my Fiat 500 electric. What I cannot do with my Fiat 500 is bring along additional stuff, like for example loudspeakers, the control panel, additional cables, the cameras. That needs to be a second time. And if that is the case, I luckily have my dad still, who has a bigger car, and I can use that car, which is slightly bigger than mine and right enough for what I needed to do. So I have a possibility there. Yeah. So that is, and what was the third one? There was a third one. The third one is indeed being flexible. I do not always need to bring along my audio interface, because if we're at a studio and somebody already has a mixer, that doesn't make sense to me. So I can just pick and choose what I need. MT says, a really compact studio and some additional cases for some other additional gear. You need to connect all to each other as cameras and monitors. Absolutely. There's still more to it than I'm showing to you right now. And at the moment, I'm more focused for myself towards making sure that I do the right things with my transport. I'm more focused to that than new gear at the moment. I think that the gear-wise, we're quite okay. There might be some, but I'm nothing shocking, I believe. But there's still a lot to be done with transport. TVJ says it's a very nice setup. TVJ, I got it, but I watched the rest of the stream later. Okay, yeah, you have to go. Okay, no worries. Bye bye. And a lot of people are saying goodbye to you. And he says, questions in terms of my wireless mics. Do you use a pedal antenna to get a more stable signal? No, at the moment, not MT. I know that that might be a possibility for the future, but I'd rather first start using it and see how far I can get with it and fix it when I need it. I don't want to have costs that I don't need. So I think that I have, because it's a very narrow 19-inch rack, I actually have a good antenna coverage. So it's strictly not needed, but I know it can be possible. There might be a possibility, but for now, it's not needed. Raoul says a very nice setup. Yes, indeed, it is. Computer says, I have 19-inch rod drawers, the old ones. You have some plastic ones. The old steel ones are extremely heavy. I got used them for ages. Well, they are unfortunately from metal, so they're heavy, but they're only 2 in one box, so it's kind of okay, but they're quite heavy indeed. All right, so that was the extreme, but we're not done yet. Well, I'll try to speed up a little bit, but we also have a second one. So we had on Saturday, we had, well, actually on Friday, I'm doing it wrong. No, on Saturday, we built up the studio. We built up the infrastructure. On Sunday, we had the show. The show was on Sunday. It was from 10 to 1. And then we only had, so we didn't have a show. And then from, on top of my head, 4 till 8, I believe it was. That was the show. Then on Tuesday, yeah, it was Tuesday, I actually needed to again do a show because I promised it a long time ago, and that show was actually here in the city that I live in, and it was with a totally different group, and I could not just get my gear, so I actually got my other gear. Luckily, I do have 2 different sets, and I can actually use both of the sets. The only thing that I needed to bring along from that location, which was 60 kilometers from where I live, to here was the intercom system, the Hollyland T1000 that I had a video 2 weeks ago, I believe. That unit needed to come back because I needed it on a Tuesday. That was everything that I needed, and that was a musical. And I forgot to change the text, so please don't look at the title. So it's not a classical shooting contest. It's actually a musical by elementary school people. And I actually used, well, the medium setup, which is 2 operated cameras. So very important to have tally, very important to have comms, and 1 standalone, and we call it ISO camera because it's isolated. It's not going to change. We can always go there. Always have 1 camera that sees everything. So those 3 cameras were brought into my ATEM Extreme SDI ISO, and I actually was recording the ISO on the Extreme, but I was also recording on vMix And I was actually also using some very limited playout on the vMix as well, just because there were some things that were on a projector, and I wanted for the people at home to see what was there. So occasionally I just went to the PowerPoint presentation that I had on the vMix to show them what they saw, and just very quickly went back. And then last but not least, the Hollyland T1000 comms and tally. And I have to admit that comms and tally was perfect. I was blown away. It was the first time that I used it, and of course, we were already talked about it quite some time ago. That the audio was a little bit like you're talking as a phone to each other, but that's no issue at all. It was really good. It was really clear. We could talk to each other. All three of us. We could talk to each other. Vice versa. We could have a whole discussion before the show, of course, which was really beneficial because we know what was happening in the room where people were going into the theater. We knew what was happening there, even though I didn't have that site at the moment. So it was really handy to know when they would start, and also the tally was really good. It was a little bit of delay, like half a second, but it was really good nevertheless. And there were no issues with people that were not aware that they were live. It was really, really clear for everybody, which was fantastic in my opinion. So I was really happy with that Hollyland setup. I did have a very small setup, like I said, and I will zoom in a little bit. I see that will not. There you go. So this was the setup right there. So on the left hand side, you see the ATEM SDI Extreme ISO. You see two headsets. We're gonna fix that for later, but the white one is for the audio that is also recorded, and the black one with one shelf is the one that I'm using to talk to my cameraman. 3 cameras. Easy recording, and on the right hand side you see my trustworthy HP Omen with, on the left hand side, a picture from a PowerPoint presentation that I was just occasionally showing, but not so much, just a few times. And on the right hand side you see the Hollyland T1000, which was again great. I was really impressed. And of course I also have a quick video. It was really cool. There was a lot of ambience. There was a lot of cool things to show. And well, that was at the end. So boom, that was it. It was like a discotheque, but then for elementary school people, which was fantastic. So what was that like? I don't have a nice diagram for it, so I'll do that live. So here we go. How did we do that musical? So if we have, let me get this one. If we have, this is the theater right here, right? So this is the theater right here. You've got the stage right here, and this is where everything was happening, right? A lot of people were talking to each other, etc. And it was a very nice musical. And of course, this is where you have a lot of rows of people, and it goes all the way down to the back. Well, what is important to note is that our main camera was actually right about here on the balcony. So it was a little bit top down, but this was the main camera, and it actually showed everything from here to here. So it was actually almost the whole stage was in picture, which was fantastic. Next to that, we actually had one camera right here, and this was a manned camera. This was the main camera that was going into, zooming into, for example, this person or that person. And we also had one additional camera right here, and that camera could then, show this person, or at that one, this person, for example. So we had a nice back and forth discussion. Where was I? I was actually right here in this area. This was my desk right here. So it was very close to the stage, but this was all closed off, with the exception of this part right here. That was not closed off. So this was a curtain. So I can actually talk directly to this person right here, but I didn't do that. It was all via the unit that I was just discussing earlier. So that was that. Really loved it. I think it was fantastic. It was also great that I could do both sets in the same week. Welcome, Mamadou. Do you make your own SDI for longer, or which brand of SDI for 100 meters 1080p 60 do you recommend? I do need to figure it out. I actually have 50 meters for what that's my longest cable. I have to verify what brand it is, but it's indeed granted to 1080p 60, and myself I'm going to 1080p 50 myself. So I have a little bit overhead, which I like to have just for the sake of it. I don't know the brand. I have to check that out, but that's the longest. So I actually have at the moment only one 50 meter cable. But I also have like 4 times 20 meters, and I am in the market for a second 50 meters, just for the sake of having enough. But that's it. So just normal SDI cables. But I would recommend to put it on. I don't know what it's called in English, but on a rolling thing. I don't know what it's called in English. We call it a hospel in the Netherlands. Can you show the green screen output? I don't have green screen here, Play Movie. So I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. There's no green screen here in this studio. This is all real. This is all real. So... I'm very late, dude. I will have to watch the VOD. That's okay. No worries. Looks like I've missed the most of the show. Yep. We're almost done. Oh, a drum, Niels. Great. That's it. Yes. A drum, indeed, with the 50 meters of SDI cable. I would definitely go for that. And I would also highly recommend to ask a video salesman to provide you a SDI cable for that. I've tried to do it myself and buy it with just a very cheap cable. Never do that again. So I'll rather ask and have a good one. From my first gig. Yeah, but there is a green screen, but we didn't use it. So we actually had a green backdrop, basically. That was it. So we tried to avoid it as much as we could. And again, this is what it looked like. So we tried to make it also quite nice with some curtains and some lights, etc. But the green screen by itself was not being used. I hope that helped. We didn't key out anything. We didn't like it. All right, I think that is the end of the show. Right, that is the end of the show. I hope that you liked it. I love these gig reports, as I call them, because they are a learning curve. It helps me to decide on changes. Like, for example, going from the 4U to the 6U to avoid some issues. Going to CasperCG on this one is also from that as a learning. I actually have an additional learning, which I'm not going to tell you about the small setup, because I'm also not happy with a few things there. Like, for example, lights. I do want to have a light when I'm working. I want to see what I'm doing. I want to be able to read for example, I play a run book. That was not possible in that area. It was very dark. So I want to have something for that as well. And I have an idea for that. Actually, it's right there. I'm not going to show it yet. And there's additional ones. So I want to combine those into a different video altogether. Talking about videos. So next week I'm back. I will be back next week. And after that, I have to admit that I'm very unclear for myself when I'm going to go live and if I can go live in August. It has everything to do with my day-to-day job. It seems that I will go back to San Diego, but I don't know when it's going to be exactly, and if it's going to be there, if it's really going to happen or not. So, but that's in August. So for the month of July, I will be here every single week. But in August, I just don't know at the moment. So be aware of that. So the next 2 weeks, we're golden. But after that, I don't know. But I'll talk about that as soon as I know more. I hope that you really liked it. I loved it. I really enjoyed talking about it to you. And I hope to see you next week. Same time, same channel. And where is the... let's go with this one. I hope to see you next week. Same time, same channel. And see you around. Oh, one more thing before I forget. Oh, almost forgot. I'm thinking about memberships, and there's one thing I want to do something cool for memberships, but I have no clue what I can do for you guys, which you like as an additional perk. Let me know in the comments what kind of additional perk you like. For example, I really liked what Aaron Parecki is doing with the behind the scenes camera, for example. I can do that. But please be aware that please provide me some insights on what you want to see. And if you're interested in a membership, and also please give me an idea of what you want to provide. Is it $5, $10, $15? You tell me. Let me know. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day, guys. Bye-bye.